So I've got several tests happening here. We're testing for nitrates. We're testing for total nitrogen, nitrates, nitrites, phosphates, and chloride. Really, I'm just filling these with the things that it says on the screen here. So just wash fluid for the machine to like clean itself in between different samples. And then I added just a couple of things of distilled water as blanks. And now I'm going to add these standards, which are pre-mixed solutions of the nutrients that we're testing for, so that the machine knows kind of what levels we're looking for, and we can make sure that the machine is working properly. First, I've got the chloride, the nitrate, and I'm just checking the computer here to make sure that I am putting them in the right spots, because it's kind of pre-programmed to know which standards are in which slot. It's kind of a tedious process. Okay, and unfortunately we don't have enough slots in this one, so I have to do one in here. Just load those in the machine. Program this one. Sorry, can I have that? Yeah, thank you. All right, so then these are the reagents that we use for the tests.
What are the reagents for?
So these are what react with the sample to help us tell how much nutrients are in them. So what this is a photospectrometer. I can't say that word, I'm sorry. But what it does is essentially similar to the turbidity thing. It's shooting light through the samples and then measuring the color of the samples. So what these do is they will interact with the minerals in the water sample to produce a color. And then the machine will measure that color and tell us how much of each of the different. So that's why we have different kinds of reagents for the different tests that we do. So I'm going to put these reagents in here. And then I'm going to tell it to run the calibrations. So here we have them already like programmed in. So I'm just telling it I need that one. And then I hit start. Oh, I forgot to put this one in. So that's what the red is telling me, like you're missing something.
Oh.
So I'm putting that in there.
So how long does this process usually take?
So it'll tell me in a second.
Okay.
Here. It'll calculate kind of how long it'll take to run each sample and how many samples there are, and then it'll tell me how long it'll take. 25 minutes.
Okay.
So I kind of have to sit here and do that and wait for this to go. While I do that, I will start programming in the samples. I have to put in the samples and tell them and program the machine so that it knows which samples are where and which tests to do on those samples. So kind of like we did with the turbidity, these are the cups that I'm using for the samples. They're really tiny, but I have to rinse them first with the samples. So first I'll grab a sample, shake it up, and pour a little bit in here.
What do you do with some of the sample spills?
Yeah?
What happens if you spill some of the sample?
As long as there's enough to fill the cup, it's okay. And I'll just wipe it up with a cloth, which I usually have here, but I don't right now. Okay, so that's one.
So each sample has a site name, right?
That's correct.
Are the names random or
No.
what's the name mean?
So this sample that I'm doing right now is GRPL1, and that stands for Grop Lake. And the one just means it's the first site on Grop Lake. So if we ever add another site, it would be GRPL2. Which ones are your sites?
We have CL1, CL2.
No, CL2,
CL2, CL4, and HA1.
Okay, so let's see. You can find any of those here, CL2. So CL2 stands for Colonial Lake 2. And we have a couple different sites on Colonial Lake.
Wait, isn't Colonial Lake COL? I think CL is Carnegie Lake.
You're right. So when I'm putting these in the computer, I put them in with the site code, CL2, and then the date, so I know what day they were sampled. So that when we're looking at it on our spreadsheets, we can look from week to week.
why do you only do this like during the summer?
So what we're testing, so this program started by just looking for the E. coli. And the reason we look for E. coli is because it can impact human health as well as pet health. So we only do that in the summer because that's really the only times that people are in the water. We do nutrient testing throughout the year, but we do a different kind of nutrient testing where our volunteers will go out and they have a chemical kit that they do the test with themselves. So this, just because we have the samples of water, we started doing it with the machine.
Has there been like a case where there's like a huge outbreak of the bacteria?
Yes and no. So the bacteria is kind of steadily high. So we get a lot of this type of bacteria from like goose poop and dog poop and human poop and all the poop. So so there's kind of always high levels of that. So it's just better not to drink the water, and there's really not any places that are super safe to go swimming in this area. But mostly now what we're finding is harmful algal blooms, and that's kind of a newer issue that we've been having. So when you get water samples that look like this, see how green this one is? That's a pretty good indication that we've got an algal bloom happening. And so these algae can produce toxins that can be harmful to humans as well. So that's another thing that we're measuring.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that you guys look for in your visual assessments when you go out. All right, so our calibrations have finished, and now we're going to check out the results. Essentially what we want is we want the points from this test to line up on this line. And we want this number to be higher than 0.997. So this one looks good, and we're going to go ahead and accept this one. This one also looks good. Also good. So I'm going to save this one. Okay, so now that we've got our calibrations accepted, I'm going to put these samples in.
How long is the sample for you doing?
It'll let me know in just a sec.
Oh, okay.
16 minutes it says. That might be a lie. It lies sometimes.
Lied, it's 40 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Yep, so it'll go through and run each 5 tests, I want to say, on all 6 of those samples. And then while it's doing that, I will fill up some more samples and add them, and the time will get longer, and I'll just sit here. Okay?
So what does the finished sample look like?
Just a bunch of numbers.
Oh.
A spreadsheet. It's not very exciting.